So not easy to identify. So I think, can we start? 24 people. So we should start when pass mark is there. Pass mark is 34. But I don't know whether I will get the pass mark or not. Every day, my failure is ensured. Unable to attract the students to the online classes. Okay, let me start because things are important, or otherwise we'll be late. Can you see my screen, students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think you have seen that, but still it is absolutely relevant whenever you are going for bulk deformation, very specifically bulk deformation at elevated temperature. You see, I will show you, I will give you the definitions. I was not knowing the definition whenever I was in undergraduate study, but this definition is absolutely important. We don't have the internet, and every time to get the right information, it is always a challenge. Students, you are in much better state, I'm telling you. Whatever breakfast today we are enjoying 100 years back, only the emperors and kings can enjoy that. That is the advantage of technology. What connectivity we are enjoying now, maybe in 1980, the president of 80s, president of USA only can having that thing, like say Bill Clinton. So that is the advantage of technology. So here we are starting with that. This is bloom, slab, and billet. And they are converted into the structural shape. Why this I section? You know very well, because moment of inertia, these I sections have favorable things in terms of taking up the load. And rails are also made with I section. So I section is a great innovation and breakthrough where we can take a lot of advantages without consuming a lot of material. So this is bloom can be converted to all those structural shapes very easily. If you want to make big bridges and girders based on those mild steel plates, these kind of structural fabrication was associated. I was associated with some of the turnkey projects of Neelachal steel plant, and there we have to make all the sinter plant, all those structural fabrications, and we have to do for non-standardized I sections. We have to use this from bloom to these plates, and then these plates are not rolled as they were very non-standardized. We are doing for submerged arc welding. That is why I got interested in submerged arc welding, and I was instrumental in procuring submerged arc welding in IIT ISM Dhanbad. Then I don't think any of the IITs were having, and I got some phone call from IIT KGP with a senior professor to have this thing. So some machines we are there, which is not very much there in many of the leading institutions. But where we have done it, these things in submerged arc welding, but you can do it if it is of a moderate dimensions. You can do it by straightway rolling, and productivity is tremendous. Now Nirmala Sitharaman has given the budget that 25,000 additional railway line tracks will be there. That means a lot of things has to be rolled out in 3 years. I don't know whether Indian government will be able to do that, but a lot of emphasis will be done on those manufacturing these things, and that will be hot rolling. The second one is the slab. Slabs can be with these another rolling where it is reducing of the thickness. Plates and sheets and coils will be coming from slab, and the billets will be converted to bars and rods for wire drawing and other kind of activity. I was very much associated with, because I was working in wire industries, Shalimar Wire Industries Limited. They are pioneer in India in terms of wire drawing processes. So what are the processes here? Rolling, other deformation process related to rolling. Sometimes we do other accessory processes of rolling, then forging, then other deformation process related to forging, extrusion, and watering. These four things are very important that you know that. Even in first year classes, I have discussed at length: rolling, forging, extrusion, and drawing. Terrific thing in terms of productivity. Civilization depends on these processes. So just to recapitulate, metal forming operation, which causes significant shape change without any waste, very eco-friendly. So metal forming causes significant shape change by deformation metal parts whose initial form is bulk. That is why we are going for, the name is bulk deformation process rather than sheet. So bulk deformation process and sheet metal is two different processes. And this process work by stressing the metal sufficiently to cause plastic flow into the desired shape. And that is why you will find it out, all those equations we have dealt with and all those problems which will be very relevant for your end semester examination and quiz 2. We have dealt with that, and you are making those tutorials for me so that you will be also conversant with all those problems, and those problems are very relevant for your examinations. And the perform, these bulk deformation perform as cold, warm, and hot. 3. Most is hot, then cold, and in between are warm. You know very well, in the first year we have discussed at length what are the basic differences between cold working and hot working. So in hot working, significant shape changes can be accomplished, and in cold working, strain can be increased during the shape. And what is that phenomenon? Increasing of strength in cold working process. Student, out of 24, what is now the number presently? How many students are present? 32. Oh, I'm going to the pass mark. Good. My performance, I have to pat myself. 32 out of 104. Now tell me, what is the name of that process which increases strength in cold working? कुछ तो बोलो. Guess? You will not be hanged for a wrong guess. So you have given a wrong answer, so you will be, some capital punishment is waiting for you, no? So you can go for a guess, wild guess. Any guess? If nobody can, then CR will guess. Tanisha, any guess?
No, sir, no.
Rolling.
No. I am telling you what is that strength enhancing process is done, is the outcome of cold working.
So recrystallization.
Recrystallization, when it will be done? At elevated temperature or room temperature? ये तो भयंकर हम पढ़ा रहे हैं. हम तो पढ़ा रहे हैं. What is the difference between cold working and hot working is that if you do beyond recrystallization, then it is hot working, and below it is cold working. Then recrystallization should occur at elevated temperature, and you know that 0.3 to 0.5 of the melting point of that alloy in that range in absolute Kelvin temperature, recrystallization lies. You cannot define it. For every metal it is defined, but you cannot tell that it lies between 0.3 to 0.4. So recrystallization is a phenomena where you differentiate between cold working and hot working. Is that clear? Students, all 32 students, you should not forget about that. That the basic difference of cold working and hot working is that you are working beyond recrystallization temperature and you are working below recrystallization temperature. Clear? Now, these enhancing of the strength in cold working is called Bolo, strain hardening. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? In cold process, you are just making some kind of stress, and the stress is responsible for stress is responsible for the compaction of the surface molecules and atoms. And that whenever it is packing and compaction, then in the surface, the things will be hard. So that is called strain hardening. Clear? That is sometimes asset, that is sometimes liability. Where it is asset, I want a surface which should be hard. There will be a lot of wear and abrasion of that. If it is the surface is hard, very difficult to take out the material. What is wear? Unintended removal of material. What is machining? Intended removal of material. The difference between machining and wear is the intention. Is that thing clear? So where it will be liability, if I want to do further processing of machining of the cold work part, definitely as the surface is hardened, I have to use a lot of effort in order to do that. But if that surface will be used for some kind of mechanical actions where mechanical, intimate, physical contact will be there, it is great. I don't have to hurt because cold working has done it for me. Is that concept clear, students? Is that concept clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You cannot forget this concept. It's easy, man. It is easy to understand. But once you understand, you cannot forget throughout your lifetime. That is called strain hardening. And if you go cold working, the strain hardening never occurs because you are going for recrystallization, and when recrystallization will be there, internal stresses will be eliminated. Like before doing some serious play. I know that a little bit because I have gone through the training of lawn tennis. So before playing, you have to go for all stretching exercise. Why? Because your internal stresses has to be removed. And whenever you play, there will be the possibility of the muscle cramp and other things will be less. It cannot be eliminated. So here also recrystallization, internal stresses will go away. Like if you go to SAIL MTI office, management training in Ranchi, a very big placard is there. Learning ahead, leave your egos here. Your egos are the stresses. These egos are not letting people learn the newer things. So these stresses will not be there if recrystallization occurs, but stresses will be induced if you do cold working in the form of strain hardening at the surfaces. Very fundamental things I'm telling you, which you should not afford to forget in your lifetime. So little or no waste, that is the beauty of bulk deformation process. Little or no waste, some will be there, like say thread rolling, I will show you that. And some operations are near net shape or net shape process. We want a net shape process. We don't want many process. It will be a problem. Because again, you load the machine and process, and it will be a costly phenomena. So the parts require little or no subsequent machining. It is a case of net shape manufacturing process or near net shape manufacturing process. In sand casting, it is not at all a near net shape manufacturing process because you have to do many post-processing. But in case of investment casting, it is near net shape manufacturing process. Die casting, near net shape manufacturing process. Vacuum casting, near net shape manufacturing process. As a mechanical engineer, as a person of manufacturing, you have to understand these things by your heart, just not mugging it out, just to understand. Near net shape, no further processing. Fully net shape, no processing at all. Wear-idiom process, wear-idiom cuts are net shape cut. Because harder the material, it is easier to cut. And whenever you cut, you can cut precisely, and the hardest material you can cut, because harder the material, it is easier to cut. That is why wear-idiom cutting is so very popular. So the four basic deformation process: rolling, forging, extrusion, and wear drawing. Rolling slab or plate is squeezed. Forging work is squeezed and shaped between opposite dies, may be closed, may be open. Extrusion work is squeezed through a die opening. Push, push, and where? Pull, pull. But don't confuse it with the pull-based and push-based manufacturing system. That is a different ball game altogether in terms of the manufacturing strategy. Extrusion, push. Draw, wire drawing, pull. You have to pull it out. So that's the difference through a die.
Sir,
Bolo.
sir, I saw somewhere that मतलब कुछ रोलिंग मिल्स होते हैं जो जैसे मतलब हमारा वहां से मतलब आ रहा है मटेरियल और एक साइड जा रहा है और कुछ होते हैं जो मतलब रिवर्स करते हैं मतलब जैसे बैक एंड फोर्थ
I will show you. I will show you the different configurations of rolling. Then you can understand. हाँ बोलो. हाँ घूम के फिर बैक भी जा रहा है.
हाँ तो
because of
मतलब
the
अगर हम
consequent.
जैसे पहली बार में ही ज्यादा फोर्स लगा तो
Super. I'm impressed about that. And I'm the best person to tell you here. The reason is I worked in a wire drawing industry. In one go, if you give that, there will be a possibility of crack. जोर का झटका जोर से लगेगा. हिंदी में I'm answer दे रहा है. Very sorry for the South Indian students because Hindi is not sometimes conversant with that. So iterative process. Wire drawing is an iterative process, step by step. Suddenly you cannot just go for that amount of reduction, step by step, stage by stage. Otherwise, what will, because of the shock, there is always a chances, always a terrific chances that there will be crack and the crack will be initiated. Clear, students? From thicker step by step. In our Shalimar Wire Industries Limited, we are having a continuous casting line at Nasik. Nasik will be providing us the rod product from a continuous casting line. Then these rods will be fed into the wire drawing machine, and depending upon the diameter of the wire, that kind of stage determination will be there. And the wire drawing people know very well that how many stages will be required for that reduction. Clear? Clear, student? Who is asking that question? Your name is?
Vidushi.
Fantastic question. Fantastic. I'm very grateful that you are very much attentive in terms of participating in the class. Wire drawing, all those things, even in rolling, is a iterative process. You cannot do it. You can tell that, sir, we can be in 1 year, there should be an engineering program and we can come out of it. Why it is not done? You have to give some soaking time. Then and then only you can go for that. In many of the cases, furnaces also, you'll find it out temperature, then soaking, then temperature, then soaking, and all sorts of things are there. And that is very true for manufacturing. If you give big reduction, there is always a possibility that because of the shock, some cracks and other things will be there. I'm very happy with these type of questions. That you have seen. Now you see the blooms are used as a rolling material in the manufacturing process of rails and seamless pipe. Bolo. Tell me, what is seamless pipe and what is the problem of non-seamless pipe? Easy question. Engineering is a common sense, but the common sense is the rarest thing on the surface of the earth. Bolo Tanisha, you have to tell. Pichli wala question kon kiye the, who has asked that question? That girl, name is? You should answer this.
That was Vidushi.
Vidushi, you will answer this. What is the meaning of seamless pipe and non-seamless pipe? Seamless means joint. The advantage of rolling is that there is no joint. And what is the problem with the joint? Leakage. You could make those pipes and other things, but if it is a very big pipe, seamless manufacturing is not easy. The problem is that you have to join it. But if you can have a seamless thing, the advantage is that there is no joint and there is no leakage. So I don't have to be bothered about the leakage. So blooms are used for rolling material in the manufacturing process of rails and seamless pipes. Billet is also a casting product. It comes out of a casting. So that is why I have already told you casting is not a near net shape manufacturing process. There will be some dimensional distortions and irregularities. But in the form of billet, no problem, because we'll roll it out. And rolling will take care of all those final dimensions. Clear? So billet is a casting product. In new era of industry, generally the billets are made with the help of machine called continuous casting machine. Very special type of machine. There's some kind of ladle and other part will be there. And that way the productivity is very, very high. When continuous casting line, you can also produce the rods with high productivity. In Nasik, our factory was having a continuous casting line, which will supply all those big billets and rods to these were drawing unit at Uttarpara, near Dankuri. So billet has a square cross-section area, but cross-section area of the billet should be same through its length, uniform. And the cross-section area of the billet is less than, this should be superscript, 36 square inch. And the billets are used in the manufacturing process of steel rebars and all sorts of bar and other kind of process. And what is ingot? If one compares ingot, bloom and billet, the slab based on their weight, slab based on their weight, ingot is the highest weight than bloom, and bloom has the greater weight than billet, and billet has the greater weight than slab. So ingot, bloom, billet, slab, that should be in terms of weight sequence. Highest ingot, then bloom, then billet, then slab. And they are mostly the products of the casting line or steel plants. Clear? So a slab has a rectangular cross section, but slab has a thickness lesser than the bloom. Thickness lesser than the bloom. Width is more, thickness is less. So that is called slab, but they have exact definition in terms of dimension. And ingots are very large casting product. It will be the product of casting very large and greater in size, and I have already told you, and blooms rectangular and all those things are associated with 36. So the bloom and their area is 36 square inch or 230 centimeters square. Greater than that, it will be bloom. There is some spelling typographic mistakes are there in the slides. Any question till now? Try to understand the business of hot working or deformation process. Next one. I was also very much associated with the rolling, but not metals, because my first industry was rubber industry, and they are using a lot of rolling activity, but in case of rubber rolls, some strategies are different. So deformation process in which the work thickness is reduced by compressive force exerted by two opposite rolls or exerted by some rolls is called rolling, because it will roll, and there you will find it out. The thickness is reduced. In some advanced classes, we'll discuss about some of the mathematical things, equations associated with the rolling process. So it is a two-roll configuration, rolling process, specifically flat rolling. Just its objective is to reduce its thickness. So there are different types of rolling by geometry. Flat rolling, it is to reduce thicknesses. Shape rolling, a square cross-section is formed into a shape, such as I-beam. And temperature, hot rolling and cold rolling, most common because large amount of deformation required, and you have to work in lower yield strength. And cold rolling, where small deformation and your machine can handle with that. That depends on the material also. Otherwise, if you put hot rolling item into the cold rolling, there will be a chance of crack. And the machine has to exert a lot of force, which is beyond the capability of that machine. So that's a terrific decision, whether it is be hot rolled or cold rolled.
So
You
what
can see
material are these rolls of?
rolls of these mild steel plates. You see all those plates. You see all those bridges. Look at any bridge. Look at any bridge of metal parts, not a concrete slab. They are all mild steel. You look at Howrah Bridge. It is made of mild steel. It has a lot of strength and easy manufacturability and easy weldability. Weldability is crucial because you have to deal with many thicknesses, and according to that you do. Whenever the carbon content is less, that is why called mild steel, the manufacturability will be high. Whenever the carbon content becomes high, the machining capability will be less. Is it clear, students? Cast iron has higher percentage of carbon. Carbon is acting as a molecular reinforcing agent. And it is true for not only for metal, it is also true for rubber. I know that because my first industry is a rubber industry. And that is why the rubber looks black, because yellowish rubber, styrene, butadiene rubbers, or all those things have been associated with carbon black, and carbon black act as a reinforcing molecular agent. If it is present in any of the materials, it will give it reinforcement, granular reinforcement. But if the content is less, it is mild steel, and its content is more, it will be high carbon steel. High carbon steel, difficult to machine. Low carbon steel, easy to machine. And low carbon steel is very welding friendly material. That is why bridges and girders and all sorts of fabrication item, you'll find it out. People are using mild steel, less costly, easy to weld, easy to give shape. Clear, students?
Yes, sir.
But there are many materials which you can roll it out. But the most popular material is mild steel. Next is a rolling mill for hot rolling, and the steel plate is used as the glowing strip extending diagonally from lower left corner to the right left corner. And this is the various configuration of rolling mill. Too high rolling mill, too high, this is the two rolls are there, so this is where it is done. Then there's a 3 high rolling mill, 3, whatever we are telling it out, that it is coming back, it is coming back. So 2-stage reduction, 2-stage reduction. Why it is not done, whatever Vidisha has asked me, absolutely right, because then huge amount of force will be required. The machine has to be dinosaur, and sometimes their probability will be the crack. So it is done stage wise. Jor ka jhatka, dheere se lage. So that was the strategy of going for this configuration. All depends upon the process planner. As an experienced process planner will decide whether it will be processed in 2 high roll milling or 3 high roll milling. 4. So where this will give the shape and the support one to make it a very robust structures, and that way you reduced huge amount of vibration possibilities into these things, again required by the situation. Cluster rolling. So one roller and supported by that. This is a cluster. This is called cluster rolling. This is the configuration. Again, depending upon, and there are some prescribed strategies in the handbook and standards, what type of material, what thickness reduction, you have to go for cluster rolling strategy. Next, tandem rolling mill, in one and go, and so sometimes these kind of rolls will work as a straightener. In wet drawing, we are using a lot of straighteners because once it is coated or coming from after drawing, there is an undulations. There is some kind of wavy pattern. If they goes through a straightener, it will be the flat. They are flat. The flatness uncertainties will be less. And last, but I think this is the ring rolling is also there. This is again a terrific thing. I've already told you, and I was asked in my interview here 20 years back that how the threads will be produced. And then my placement professor in charge, and that 15 years before, he has said, not only to me, to group, people will ask how threading is done. You should not give answer by a lathe. It will be just a mediocre answer. You will tell 99.99% of the threads are produced by thread rolling. And few here and there you can produce by lathe. And that was the answer. And that was the answer could create a very good impression. My person who knows that, very incidentally, that person, I know him very well. He's a very renowned professor. And he is from metal cutting person, and thread rolling is a metal forming operation. But the answer was so robust and sound. So he was, for a few minutes, he was not asking any questions. So thread rolling is such an important operation.
But doesn't lathe give more precision?
Yeah, thread rolling is give huge precision. You find it out, I can tell you, Unbreako, TVS. These two companies are producing very good high tensile nuts and bolts. And all products are rolled product. And the advantage is that accuracy is great. Then you can ask why everything is not by thread rolling. The reason is that you have to make this die, and this die is made of HSTR alloys, high strength temperature resistant alloys. And to make all those threads grooves, costly, unless you produce in mass production. The things are very costly. But if you go for mass production, then this fixed cost or first cost or initial cost goes down. If you are producing millions, you can produce these things very close to the cost of the raw material. And I will show you. I will show you, if the time permits, thread rolling operation. Students, is that thing clear?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes these tricky questions can fetch you a good job. Few questions, if you are in favorable condition and state, definitely good impression, preferably in the initial part of your interview. And what is ring rolling? The deformation process, thick walled ring of the smaller diameter is rolled into a thin walled. And thick walled is compressed, then working process, large rings, and those things, advantages, material savings, ideal grain orientation, strengthening through cold working. And this is the operation. Rotate it, press it, it will be, the circle will be bigger, thickness, and this is called ring rolling operation. Thank you. Now I will show you some YouTube videos. Let me find out if we can have any. share sound, share video, and then first thread rolling. Student, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
sir.
The sounds are not there. Let me change. Yes. Students, can you hear the sound?
Yes, sir.
Right.
That's a good thing. If you're a Colts fan. It's amazing what that one guy that made a difference. That's
Student, how you
Yes.
feel? Amazing, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it terrific? And
Yes,
you
sir.
see the productivity part of it. It's such a big shaft. If you want to do thread cutting operation in a lathe, maybe it will be a one shift job, or maybe one shift is not, one go and then two go and the three go, so many accuracy, and this thread gates and other things will be used in order to do that. If you do it in thread rolling, it is a cakewalk, knife through the butter. Only problem is that you have to need a roll, appropriate red roll. And what is TPI? It is written TPI. What is TPI?
Turns per inch.
Threads per inch. Threads per inch. Okay. So this is the pitch. So I think that is great. And then just I found it out whether we have the ring rolling or not.
Excuse me, sir.
Bolo, bolo. Tell me.
Sir, what was that fluid that was
Oh,
being
that is a cutting fluid. It is a oil-based cutting fluid. There are two types of cutting fluids are there. One is oil-based cutting fluid. Another one is the water-based cutting fluid. Oil-based cutting fluid is provided where the lubrication possibility is more, because there will be a lot of interaction with the thread rolls and the workpiece, so you need a lot of lubrication. So very specifically cutting fluid, oil-based cutting fluid will be used. But in case of where heavy, this machining where a lot of temperature will be there, then water-based cutting fluids are used. The reason is that heat capacity of water is great.
Okay, sir.
Is it clear? Any more
Yes.
questions?
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
very happy when people are asking questions, because then the things are getting clear. Both occasion, for me also and for students. The best way to learn to teach. The second one, let me find out if anything is related to ring rolling is there in the YouTube video. It is. Can you see that, students?
Yes, sir.
Behavior
Sorry,
student.
sir, in the end, what was that person checking?
Oh, sorry, just a minute. इसको बंद करना है. यही प्रॉब्लम है. हाँ, बंद हुआ. हाँ, tell me, क्या बोल रहे हैं?
Sir, that person in the end, what was he checking?
I think he is checking the surfaces or maybe the length. But I was not in a position to tell you that exactly.
Okay.
So maybe some inspection. You see, Madam Sitaraman has placed the budget, but
Yes, sir.
it is the easiest thing. Sit plus aram, sitaram. Easiest thing to tell that 400 Vande Mataram. Definitely, I don't doubt about her intention. Definitely, she means that. But in order to execute that, what I am telling you, students, in order to execute 400 Vande Bharat Express, in order to these 25,000 kilometer rails, in order to do that, this is in the civil side, that will be the area domain of Nitin Gadkari. Huge amount of hot rolling you have to carry on. Because I got the training in Bond standard and Braithwaite, which are responsible for manufacturing all those railway equipment, these railway wagons and other part of it. Huge amount of rolling activity, huge amount of bulk deformation activity you can be there. So finance minister definitely has put his budget there itself with very good intention. But in order to make it happen, one has to be on their toes, and huge amount of bulk deformation activity has to be carried out to go for that. नहीं तो जैसा हुआ है, Mamata Banerjee, when placing his budget, railway budget, when she was a railway minister, from the backside, Lalu Prasad Yadav was telling, Madam, bolte rahiye, bolna hai, karna to nahi hai. So the manufacturing people have to deliver that, whatever told in the budget, and this is the hardest one. Bolo, you have any question?
सर जिस भी चीज में मतलब कार्बन कंटेंट ज्यादा होगा उसकी मशीनेबिलिटी मतलब मुश्किल हो जाएगी.
Definitely, because it is hard.
अभी जैसे मतलब जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि जैसे जो CFRP है वो हम मतलब ब्रिज में यूज कर सकते हैं, रेल ट्रैक्स में यूज कर सकते हैं. तो क्या अगर हम CFRP यूज करते हैं उसकी स्ट्रेंथ के लिए, तो क्या उसकी जो मशीनेबिलिटी कॉस्ट होगी और जो उसकी खुद की कॉस्ट है वो मतलब क्या जस्टिफाई हम कर सकते हैं?
Yes, again a very good question. I'm telling you, this is a compromise. If you make, your designer will always want a material of high strength, but you have to see that whether it is manufacturable or not. You understand my point? So you have to keep a balance. You have to select those materials which is easier to manufacture and without much compromising the strength component of it. Suppose I am a designer. I have to make an aerospace body. I have to make an aeroplane. What I will do? I want that the wings should flap. But can anybody in this world, today's technology, human civilization, can make flapping of wings? The answer is no. So the design which cannot be manufactured is no design at all. It is not pragmatic. So we have to make a compromise that which can be machined at economically viable cost, and that material has to be proposed. I will go for such a material which cannot be manufactured. It is the best. Tell me.
So, sir, is it justifiable to use?
I am again telling you what purpose is there. If I suppose we got some project on welding of maraging steel. Maraging steel is such a difficult material which is having in the higher classes, you understand the toughness and hardness imposing in one component is absolutely difficult one. And maraging steel, that is these martensite with edge hardening capability, but very, very nightmare to go for welding and friction stir welding. But it is absolutely requirement of a material of intercontinental ballistic missile, because they have to fly with high Mach number 5 Mach speed, and they have to travel maybe 10,000 kilometers, 12,000 kilometers from the surface of India. It will reach some of the covering USA cities, another part of it. So there is no compromise. So no other material can be done. So people have to do hook and by crook, irrespective of the cost. You have to machine that, you have to weld that, and give it to DRDO or Defense Research to make the missile. But if you want to have it for some automobile, definitely we'll say, thank you, we cannot do it, because then one automobile may be costing around $1 million. Is it clear?
Yes.
I'm ready to spend $1 million for an intercontinental ballistic missile, which have the nuclear head capabilities for my defense for few missiles. But we cannot afford to have for a commercial car, which will be used for common people. Common people cannot purchase a vehicle or maybe a commercial vehicle at $1 million. Is that thing clear, students?
Yes, sir.
That is why aerospace people are they are dealing with those most challenging materials, because there is no compromise. Cost is not the constant, never for aerospace people. The manufacturing and the strength is the submission on 10th February. So even half an hour, 1 hour, he gives some time. It is very costly, because very important, because he could have done it for presentations of his slides. But if he spends, that should give him return. Give him means the community the return. At least some development is there, and he is in a position to carry those experiments further. Just for demo purpose and just for an casual look, he comes, and so time is precious. Serious player, we have infinite time. For casual player, we don't have the time. If you don't have to do anything, don't do it here.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, don't mind, because things are there. But because every time, though I want to be very relaxed, another part of it, every day we are getting engaged. Last 1 to 2 years, I got 1 to 2 hours. Some phone, some people are doing some international conferences. He's talking. Very good friend of it from Australia. Then we are not getting some breakthrough in publishing those things in Bangladesh journal. So many different layers of problems are coming out, and sometimes I use my research scholars to do that, irrespective of their PhD and other kind of activity. So the things are like that. If anybody is serious and sincere, we have the time. But if he is not, definitely we have less time.
Right.
Any more questions, student? I'm very, how many students are present? Tanisha, 30. So just below the pass mark. But whoever present, I found that some people are really very enthusiastic participation. in the class, even if it is online. Dekho, online teaching, there are definitely some demerits, but that merit is that immediately I can address you these YouTube videos and you can interact with that. If I go to the class, still that our classes are not smart classroom, I cannot address those things. And whatever thing you can see with me, along with me and visualize, that is indispensable. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
You can definitely download and do that if I say and download. But along with that, along with 30 people and with your teacher, if you are doing that and asking and all those things, it has some more impact. That impact I could not create. Whatever may be the drama I can do in the class, I cannot recreate that unless I have then access to these YouTube videos. Great. I really feel motivated. Again, thanks to those students who have shown their interest and asked me questions. I always grateful to them. I want to be ragged in my class. Maybe I will be not in a position to answer all your questions. You are an intelligent person, thoughtful person, young person, but I will enjoy. I will enjoy the defeat at the hands of my student. That will be my biggest win. But ask so that I can also think of in a deeper part of it. And as I have spent maybe 3 decades more time because of my seniority in age to that, maybe probably I am in a better position to answer, but that doesn't mean that I have all answers to your questions. But a little bit of my 8 years of industrial experience put me in a little bit more comfortable position in order to deal with that, and that you can differentiate with all those teachers who are not having that amount of experience, but exact thing will be learned whenever you come out of it, and then you will be the real judge whether I can carry my industrial experience to the knowledge enhancing procedures of my student or not. Understood?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Great, Enchanting. When I do the classes, my blood pressure becomes normal. If I don't, it goes up. Thank you very much.
Thank
So
you,
the
sir.
class strength reached 35.
Hmm?
In between the class, the strength reached 35 from
Acha, theek
25.
hai. So at least some point of the time I got the pass mark, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Great. That is my position. This is not a very great thing, but I am telling you, in China, when the students are classing, all people are present. That is making the difference. But their individual cameras are there. Students and the teachers can show that, but they don't go away because they know that they have come here for their value addition. If you go away, it is a loss. Even if the teachers are not great, even if the teaching is boring, then and then also it is better to attend classes. I have not missed many. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.